Hi, David. This is going to be your prophetic blueprint. Get the feeling there's a much more on it on your scroll than this, but I took it to the Father, and as I was preparing, I asked him to give me point by point, give me a lot of detail for you. As I saw all this, I could see it happening. For those who are tuning in, this is a prophetic blueprint. It's like your destiny scroll, something that was recorded in heaven, what you're due to do. And this is prophetic blueprint over a friend of mine, David. He's a pastor. If you want to watch this blueprint, this would be helpful for you. You can find out how to order one on my website, and it lists $150 Australian to order one. That's certainly worth your while, certainly worth investing in. So I'm going to go through this point by point. I've got a blank page full of notes, and we'll go through it point by point and talk about it. The first, because I'm a writer, the first point is writer, that I feel that you have, David, you have a lot of revelation on the kingdom, on the proper Christian life, on leadership, on church growth, on managing a church, on men's related issues, on depth of faith, on intimacy. There's many subjects, and I would be encouraged that if you sat down with the Holy Spirit and meditated on the Holy Spirit, I'm sure he could list off 5 books straight away, book titles that you could address. So I feel that it's in your destiny to actually write. Of course, you need an editor. You need to come up with money to pay an editor, but I'm sure that the Lord will provide somehow for you to do this. I also saw manuals and courses being done. I haven't got a manual as such, but you see people write a book, like Bill Johnson. He writes a book, and then he does like a leader's manual to teach that book session by session, and he has one video for each session, for each chapter of the book. So you may have a 20-chapter book, and he has a leader's manual with questions in it. And he also has a video a DVD with 20 videos on that chapter. So the people, I've never done it, but I know it exists. The people sit down, they watch the video, then they break into a small group, and the leader leads the people through the study. They ask the questions, they possibly have homework, and then they meet the next week to go through it. And I've never done one, but I can see you putting together this sort of manual and course structure for people. And perhaps the 5 books that the Holy Spirit said that you've got in you, perhaps you've got 5 courses, manuals. Of course, as a pastor, as a person who's pastored a church, you come with authority, and you teach with authority. And I feel that this would, it's not so much the product, it's not so much producing the actual product to make money or finance something, but I can see you developing that in the future. Of course, that may be a distance in the future. Perhaps you can start with the ebooks and see how they go. But I definitely see that you're going to have a manual and a course attached to a number of your books, and you're going to be used effectively. Also see the second point that I saw, this comes up quite a bit. It's something that I need to do in my future. So the second point is, I can see you doing masterclasses on something like a series of 20, 25, 15-minute videos, professionally done in a studio with a section. Sean Boltz has got some good masterclasses where you can sign up for one of his courses, and it has a format programmed that after every video you can comment, and as an instructor he comes back to all of your comments and makes comments, so he invests some time, and that's something that is information that can be presented in such a way that people can comment, and you can have feedback with the people. Of course, when you get a reputation for teaching and you have a collection of people learning, then you can go from course to course and put out more courses. Once again, the motive for putting out these books and putting out these courses, these instructing manuals and masterclasses, isn't so much like people in the world put out these things to generate income and make massive finance. I feel that your heart would be the reason you put them out is to teach the people and equip the people. And I can see both, well, the three things. I can see the books coming out. I can see I can see in instructors manuals and the videos for the course. You could actually, well, I was going to say you could make the videos for the course, for the books, part of your masterclass. Someone could view the videos in your courses as part of a masterclass. So there's three separate things: books, courses with an instructor's manual with videos. The second thing, and masterclasses where you can teach on a specific subject. That'd be something that you could also collaborate with another leader and work with another leader to do the masterclasses. You could work with someone else who's got a standing and who's a teacher. It's sometimes important that these things that come on the scroll are things that are new to you and yet achievable. And when I look at my scroll, the things were new to me, but they were achievable. And so these, the first 3 points. The next point that I have is a teacher of men. I feel that in knowing you, you really come across as a man who is a real man, who's got masculinity, and you're a successful husband, and you've got a good relationship with your wife. When I've got teacher of men, I've got points teaching men all aspects of the faith, marriage, leadership, ministry, and you can do this through the platforms of writing, conferences, YouTube, and a blog. So you could write articles on addressed to men, and you could produce each of those articles on a blog, and start a blog that get a following. You could teach on all aspects of the faith. You could teach on your personal life. You could teach on successful marriage and pointers for marriage. You could teach on proper leadership. You could teach on ministry functions and ministry, and you could do all this on your blog. You could, I can see you being invited to speak at conferences. I can see you teaching these aspects of teaching men on YouTube. It's quite easy to start a YouTube channel. YouTube is something that, depending on how you label a video, can be seen by 10 or hundreds or thousands of people, and it's a very good medium to instruct people and lead people and teach people. I see this specific flavor of men's leadership, men's you being a specific teacher of men. It's not to say that you haven't got information that would be applicable to women. When you see Joyce Meyer teaching, she isn't only teaching women. One third to half of her audience are men. So she's not specifically called to women. She's just got a ministry that's more suited to women. And conversely, I feel that you've got a real calling to speak to men. And so that would be done through writing books, conferences, YouTube, and a blog. These would be 4 different ways that you'd reach out to men. Of course, you'd have a website too, so that's a 5th way. So as people find you you could have a Facebook page for men's ministry and advertise that Facebook page. Off that Facebook page, you could advertise certain things and get a wider audience of people following you. And those 5 other ways: books, conferences, YouTube, blog, website, Facebook. So it's really good to actually hear something like this, to hear that heaven has this direction for you, to go in for something for you to specialize in and focus on. It's very interesting for you to perceive and to actually hear. I suggest with your prophetic blueprint and get it typed up. I don't know what happened there, but I suggest that you send it to a typist and get it typed up, and and uh, and um, and then you'll be able to read it and be comfortable with everything that has been said. The recording went off and then on. I'm not sure what has happened, but it's normally doesn't do that, and I was a little disturbed by that. The next point that I can see is that of an online pastor. I can see, yeah, I don't think you spend a lot of time on Facebook, but I can see you starting a church community on Facebook. It starts with a whole lot of friends. I certainly can invite hundreds or thousands of my friends to your community and help you get started. But at one stage, I started an online community called Open Heavens and Intimacy with Jesus, and for a number of years, it operated as like a church community, and I was its head, and I had some leadership in there that helped me. I can see you operating something like that, operating like a Facebook group, and if you put good leadership in there, good admins in there that can assist and help approve the posts, that you could do a really good job pastoring people from afar all over the world, and you could spend some time really helping a lot of people and blessing a whole lot of people. I'm not sure of your understanding of Facebook, of what Facebook groups constitute, but they're certainly able to do that. And I see I see that on your scroll of you operating an online presence. Certainly, as you operate this online presence as an online pastor with a group that grows fairly large, I can see you moving out, and this should be another point, but it could grow out of this. I can see you raising like a training school, an equipping school, and for you to be the facilitator of that training and equipping school. And you could teach people how to hear from God, how to prophesy, how to teach, how to find your destiny, how to walk in purpose, and you could have a curriculum worked out so that you could really touch people's lives and bless people and train them. I see like an online training school, just like a Bible school that you can go to Bethel, or you can go to specific training schools. I can see you being used in finding some time somewhere to start an online training school and teach and equip people. I can see that in my future too. So perhaps you and I would partner in the future down the road to do something like that, and touch people's lives and arrange for people to learn practical, useful things for the Christian life that's going to equip them and make them more proficient and more usable by God in their specific giftings and specific callings in their life. I don't know if you've ever considered heading up an online training school, something that would equip people, but once again, it doesn't have to be a focus on money. Doesn't have to be money doesn't have to be the focal point or the reason that you started. You'd started to be a successful equipper, someone who wants to sow into people. Of course, everything could work together. The online church, the online community, you could advertise your books in, you could advertise your courses in, your manuals, your master classes, you could advertise your materials where you're teaching men, your books, your YouTubes, your blogs, and all through that online community, you could really have a community, but have it reinforced by resources that you put through that community, and you teach. A lot of these ideas can be done from a remote place where you are, and the online presence can really be promoted, and you can really use your time and your resources. And as you develop some of these things, it could pretty well replace income, and so you could be, in a sense, full-time ministering from your place where you are. Okay, so the next point that I have here is mentor to leaders, both online and in person. Now, you might meet a lot of leaders in person, but I feel that through your online presence, your online community, that you'll start to meet many leaders, and I feel that you'll even almost monetize the mentorship. I know that Africans make it a practice, and some American apostles mentor people and charge people. Once again, I'm not focusing on the monetary aspects. I'm not focusing on going after money, but for you to be able to take individuals aside and speak to them into different aspects of their life, all different aspects of your life and of their life. This coincides and works really well with your the thing on your scroll of teachers of men. As you teach these men, people can come out from that audience and respond, and they can be invited into a mentor program where you mentor them and teach them and equip them, and I can see you being raised up as a mentor to many men. See you pastoring a church and having a good effect at pastoring a church. Being a pastor is certainly on your scroll, and I haven't mentioned it here, but it's on your scroll. But this mentor to leaders, both online and in person, I can see you networking with other leaders and becoming like a coach to them, and instructing them, and being part of who they are and who they're called to be. So the Lord knows how all this will work out, and how this will come together. I think one of the earliest things that you'll do within this group set is to form this Facebook community, this Facebook group, and I feel many of the other aspects will grow out of that. Okay, so I've got another point here, that you'll be a collector of information with breakdowns of information and reviews on YouTube and repackaging information. So I can see you, I don't know if you do it at the moment, but I can see you being like a resource, like a website or a YouTube channel, a specific YouTube channel where people can come to and get a review of a book, get a breakdown of a book, like a book summary by you, like a half an hour summary of the key points of a book, and for you to do a review, for you to like do book summaries and break down books, and also repackage information. So that's 3 stages that there'll be a place where you can do a review, see a review of a book. There'll be a place where you can have a half an hour, 40-minute breakdown of a book, point by point, and you can even get authority from the publisher. I don't know if you have to get authority from the publisher, but you can release those breakdowns of the books as audible books, and release them on Audible. So people who are busy can have a breakdown of a book, rather than spending 3 hours reading one of my books. They can just come to your breakdown and listen to 40 minutes of the key points of my book. And you could do it for popular authors. You do it for authors that you follow, and you stream this information into your blogs, into your YouTube videos, into your Teachers for Men, into your community of believers, into your mentor program, into every other aspect of what you do. You could produce short 20-page books which are breakdowns of other books, and there'd be permissions that you'd have to request, but you could start on mine, and I could give you full permission to break them down. So this is sort of targeted at 2 things. Targeted at the person who just wants to know about a certain teacher and about a certain book. It gives them a breakdown of the book and a review of the book, and then it targets a busy person who hasn't got the time to read all my books but wants to grasp the fundamentals of that book. And then I also see linking up with your writer, teacher of the body, the first point. I can see you repackaging information and teaching specific information that you glean from other leaders and other writers. And I can see you either teaching on YouTube the same sort of information, repackaging the information, or I can see you writing individual books covering the same sort of subjects that other people are covering, but adding your testimony, your experience, your insight, other biblical verses, and repackaging stuff. And the summation of everything I'm talking about is being a resource for people. It's becoming a resource for the body of Christ. So people in the body of Christ that are busy, that don't know certain authors, that don't know certain teachers, that can't pretty well understand the other teachers and the other authors, they can come to your place, they can come to your YouTube channel and get breakdowns, get understandings, get reviews, and even see your repackaged information on the specific books and stuff. So how you do that is, as you read books, as you read my books, as you read other people's books, you start to take notes and repackage information and do exhaustive summations of people's materials. And yeah, I hope that that makes sense. You've got a really analytical mind, a mind that really looks at things and thinks like a critical thinker. You think through things and you process things, and you process things very deeply. This moves into your gifting, moves into your ability, and activates like a teaching gift in you. That would be very handy for people to come across a website or a YouTube channel that's got 5 Kevin Zadai books. He's a new teacher, broken down into 30-minute summaries, and it's got Bill Johnson books if they're into Bill Johnson, or Matthew Robert Payne books, or Chuck Pierce books, or Rick Joyner books, and they can read these summaries and stuff. This is sort of stuff that you could get staff to do with the same skill set. You could even, sort of find people in your community, church community on Facebook, and you could find people who'd love to do this sort of thing, and you could sponsor that out and network that out to a point where you could have just this precious resource, and you make it into such a thing. I know they're big ideas, but you make it into such a thing that once a person finds it, they continue returning to see the new updates and see the new books that are talked about. Now, some of the people might see the 40-minute breakdown and go to the book to read the whole book. In that instance, the person who owns the book will be happy about that. But I can see that as a real resource. Another thing I saw that I can see you part of an end times network of leaders teaching and participating in relationships. So I can see you not only being part of this end times network, and I know that this network is going to exist. I've written about it. In the future, I can see a network of pastors linking up that are going to be part of Australian Revival. So I can see you part of this network, and I can see you participating in teaching in that network, and participating in relationships, having active relationships within that network, and so that's a point to consider. Also, I can see the last 2 points. I can see you as a church consultant. I can see you being used to consult pastors on how to pastor a church, how to grow a church, how to bring a church into intimacy, how to bring a church into depth, how to bring new things to a church, all sorts of information about running and prospering in leadership in a church. And And so I see church consultant there, and you being used to consult with other pastors. And I also see a prophetic gifting running through your scroll. Not that I haven't mentioned it, but I see everyone moving in a prophetic gifting. So perhaps I left that out, but I can see you growing in the prophetic and having an ability to hear from God. So in your consulting, for you to have words of wisdom and directional words of God for a leader, and having prophetic words for a leader, and using those prophetic gifting to strategize and direct and lead specific churches. And I can also see you moving in an ability to be a destiny coach. So I can see you writing books about finding your purpose and walking in your purpose. I can see some of the courses I mentioned that the church could do with videos and a manual talking about destiny and speaking about destiny. And I can see you working with individuals, companies and ministries on their destiny, and working to establish destiny in people, and for them to discover and walk in it. And so I pray that this has been helpful for you. I'd encourage you to get a printout of it, get it sent off to a printer, and be able to have a look at it. It's very comprehensive, and it should should be considered. I wouldn't mind talking to you and having a discussion over all these things. It seems, like I said, it seems comprehensive, and pleased that you requested your Destiny Scroll. So that's over, David. I'll just say some things to the people. If you liked this video, press like. If you didn't like it, press thumbs down. I'd love to see your comment. You can order a Destiny Scroll. If you look at the description tag down below, it shows you how you can order a Destiny Scroll. I encourage you to share this video. I encourage you to get your own Destiny Scroll. I encourage you to look at other ones if you're not sure. There's a playlist of other Destiny Scrolls. There's a video explaining what a Destiny Scroll is and how it operates. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope to do one for you in the future. God bless you, David. Amen.